right there.
Is now let's play that footage of them lying on the floor in the facility. This is footage that has been leaked
22.
out. This is footage that is leaked out, and of course it's very difficult to get this kind of footage.
It's in Baltimore.
This is in Baltimore, in the Baltimore field office. These are the conditions that people are living in. Now in Berlin, New Hampshire, my understanding is they don't have blankets. But they put them in scrubs, and we're dealing with temperatures of like 10 degrees outside. If you don't put heat on in these facilities, you know, you're talking about 30, 35 degrees. But play this footage. So now we know they're taking people who are in process. They have a work permit. They're waiting on a hearing, whatever it is. They put them in these type of facilities. Essentially,
okay.
torture or
Grand Designs,
abuse,
Etch, what up?
Wherever that
Yes,
line
now
is,
we're on
I don't
Twitch
think it makes a
as
difference,
well.
frankly. And the
And
idea
YouTube.
is like, it's up to you. You really want to wait around for your court case? Because that may not come for a while.
In the portrait mode.
Miren cómo nos tienen aquí.
Well, I
Miren
ever
cómo
feel like
migración
I've had
nos
enough
tienen.
MRs?
Hay gente que estamos legales,
Yeah, I
gente
know.
que no estamos legales, gente que está perdiendo su familia, nos
It
están
sucks
secuestrando,
because
nos tienen.
I can't do horizontal on both. I have to do horizontal on one and vertical on the other, unless I pay some kind of subscription, and I'm not doing that. So, first time trying it out. Let's give it a shot here. I do hope I get some trolls. It'll be very funny if I do.
Sin bañarnos, sin aguantando hambre. Miren,
So that's what's going on here.
I can't translate all that. The last thing was about hunger.
All right, well,
Yeah, we'll have more to say in the other half.
the other half,
Yeah.
formerly fun half. But this is what's going on. So people should understand this is what's happening. And all right, well,
Well, was it? I mean, what did we? I can't remember if it's just like something I watched myself, or if we covered it on the show. Did we cover the story? Someone, a lawyer was saying how a mother had to suck the pasta off, or the pasta
Yes,
sauce off.
we played
Yes,
that.
of every, because they have no baby food. Suck because the child can't digest the pasta sauce. Sucked all of the sauce, but with her mouth, off of pieces of pasta to feed to children.
Concentration camps,
Yep.
not metaphor.
Not
Description.
No.
There we go. This is good exposure. Let's fucking go. I
Uh,
hope so. I hope it works.
lastly, let's just read this from Midwest Leftists.
I hope it
Here
works.
from Minnesota, if you
Okay,
wanted
let's
to
keep
read
going.
this during the
'Cause
show,
I
so
can't
people
even
get a
look at
sense
like
of
my
what the
combined
environment
chat.
ICE is creating.
So are you in the
We are white
vertical
Midwestern.
stream Etch?
The violence is so egregious that the
YouTube?
children are in no way shielded from our reality. Our 7-year-old
'Cause I
son,
got my
knowing the
Twitch
dangers
open
they
on the
pose,
side so I
came
can see that
home
chat.
and
What up,
told
Grand
us,
Designs?
if ICE comes to my school, I will protect my cousin, 5 years old, because she has more life to live. Our neighbor hasn't sent their 5-year-old to school for 2 weeks because they're terrified of their child being taken at the bus stop. My partner works for the school district, and ICE is scoping out all the bus stops to take kids for bait. My partner's coworker was also disappeared overnight, now leaving his wife as the sole provider for 2 daughters, one of them requiring brain surgery as she suffers from seizures, which was the main reason they came to the United States. He was shipped to Texas in less than 24 hours.
Just posting again.
All right, we're going to head into the fun half of the program. You know the deal. Join the majority.report.com. Also, justcoffee.coop. Use the coupon code majority, get 10% off. Matt, what's happening in the Matt Lek Media universe?
Yeah, Hassan joined us on the Jacobin show last week to talk about who's more democratically responsive to the outcries of the people they represent, Mohammed bin Salman or Chuck Schumer. And you have to tune in to see who we decided on. And I don't think this past weekend has changed that calculation. Check it out, Jacobin Show. Go subscribe to Jacobin Meg on YouTube.
But I think around 18 months out, we're going to look back and go like, wow. What is that going on? It's nuts. Wait a second. Hold on for a second.
So much going on still on booth, but I know. I'm also working over here.
Matt! What is up, everyone? Nomi Key.
You did it! Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Bradley, you want to say hello?
Sorry to disappoint everyone. I'm just a random guy.
It's all the boys today.
Fundamentally false.
No, I'm sorry. Women's.
Stop talking for
wow.
a second. Now let me finish.
Where is this coming from, dude?
But dude, you want to smoke this 7-8?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes?
Is this me?
Is it me?
It is you.
Is this me? Hello? Is this me?
I think it is you. Who is you? No sound. Every single freaking day. What's on your mind?
Sports. We can discuss free markets and we can discuss capitalism.
I'm gonna go start watching.
Libertarian. They're so stupid though. Common sense says, of course.
Gobbledygook.
We fucking nailed
This
it!
is the
So
part
what's
that I don't
79
quite
plus
get.
21?
My balls are
Challenge
revolving.
Positively
I
quivering.
don't
I
know
believe
when they-
96, I want to say.
857-210-35 501 1 half.
I mean, the game is very easy to pick up and
It's
play.
just the week
Again,
we
it's a free
weeded out,
demo on
obviously.
Steam.
Yeah,
Try it
sends out,
yourself.
comes out. I don't know.
But you should know.
People just don't like to entertain ideas anymore.
I have a question. Who cares?
Our chat is enabled, folks.
Love it.
I do love that.
Look, gotta jump. Gotta be quick. I gotta jump. I'm losing it, bro. 2 o'clock. We're already late, and the guy's being a dick. So screw him. Sent to a gulag?
Outrageous.
Like, what is wrong with you?
Love you, bye.
Love you. Bye-bye. We are back. Emma Vigeland, Sam Cedar. Thanks for joining us. Uday and Kusei Lutnick, please God, make the F half fun again. Aaron from Germany. Is my hair thinning? Of course it is. Yes. Getting to that age.
This guy
it's not
sucks.
dramatic, but it's I notice it. But I mean, relative to from when I was, 25.
No, you gotta hang on to that.
Well, believe me, that's the thing. I know. That's
You're like, it's my best asset right now.
it's like I'm holding on by a thread, and it's like, but that's about it. All right, well let's get back into this. I don't want to make too much of this, but there is a change that we have seen in the wake of this predicate.
Yeah, Sam has
consists
that right here.
2 or 3 different elements. One, it has made it impossible for the Senate Democrats to pass DHS funding as it was planned 24 hours ago, or I should say 72 hours ago. The other thing that we're seeing is an emboldened call for accountability. We're going to play that in a moment. And then we also are seeing some internal conflicts within the administration over this.
Stephen Miller, like there was just a throwaway line in the Wall Street Journal article today about how, there's a feeling he may have overstepped. I mean, he's clearly
And we have indication of that too. We'll get to that in a moment. And
Steve Miller's
there's
gonna
also
get fucking
indication
tried.
of some Republicans, some small minority of Republicans,
He might be the scapegoat,
realizing this is not helpful to them. But let's start here. Here is J.B. Pritzker, obviously running for president, a billionaire, but also governor of Illinois, understanding that you've got to confront this stuff to the extent that they can. Credit for Pritzker being one of the early Democratic lawmakers to, I should say, politicians, to tell people aggressively go out and videotape. I don't know that we wouldn't see what we see, but I think it certainly gave people a license to go out and do this. And of course, again, the videotaping of Preddy's murder was what really made it impossible for DHS to get their lies out first. Here he is, and I don't know if we have heard such an explicit.
The fact that the news just keeps
Threat
referring to it as like
by
DHS
a
said
Democratic
this, or the FBI
politician,
said this, instead of
in
Cash
terms of
Patel,
accountability.
the
And
lunatic,
we've been
said
waiting for
this.
this, and I hope we see this we start to see this from federal
I
lawmakers.
hate it.
What do you think? What do you do
There's
when
an
the federal government is
asterisk on
essentially
everyone in
obstructing
this
justice at the
administration.
state level like
Every
this? You have your
department.
database, but what can you do to hold people like this officer and others to account at this point?
First of all, it's more than a database. We created something called the Illinois Accountability Commission. It's headed by retired federal judges who are gathering testimony, including video, including, as you said, a database of all the information that we have. Why? Because we are going to hold them accountable. And yes, it's true. When Trump and J.D. Vance are saying that these federal officers have absolute immunity, they do not. But they do if the president is going to pardon them or not hold them accountable while he's president.
We're gonna be at least one level with this guy.
Forever. And
Let me hit the bathroom
having the
real quick.
information in order to come after those
Take a
people
look at
to
Mr.
make
Poole
sure
back there.
that they are held accountable when the time comes. I know it's not good enough. I'd like to be able to hold them accountable today, but it is true that the supremacy clause makes that very difficult for states. So we're gathering the information because in 2029 in January, Gregory Bovino is going to have to answer for his actions. Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, and frankly, the line officers that are abusing people and in some cases shooting people in the face, they're going to be held accountable one way or another when this administration goes away.
That's important. That there are markers that are put down right now, whether they're line officers or whether they're those in power, that we're going to hold you accountable.
So naming Bovino and Noem, we are going to hold you accountable. And importantly, not just the line officers.
Yep.
Saying that has the capacity to put a chilling effect on their actions. The problem is that Pritzker should not be alone in this. That this should actually really be what the national leadership does.
Federal lawmakers, we need to hear this.
This is, I mean, for that reason, this is where federal Democrats should be stepping up, and that's not happening.
I mean, we should be hearing from senators, congresspeople making announcements to ICE officers, CPB, middle management, get your suits pressed because you're going to be coming in front of us.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be taking your names down. And this is the other thing
Burrito
about,
popper, yes.
we're going to start to hear more
He just got a haircut,
requirements
so he's extra cold.
for ICE
But he needed
reforms
He
in
was
this
a fart. He
legislation
looked like a fart.
battle that we're going to see.
Now he's Smooth Boy.
Understand that
Spider Boy.
ICE has all the money they need. They have slush funds. They're not going to be shut down if the budget doesn't go forward. And none of these reforms of ICE should be anywhere near what the last word is on ICE when Democrats are actually in power. The agency needs to be gone, and it needs to be put under the auspices. DHS is a problem, period. But any of these type of enforcement, anything that portends to be law enforcement should be under the auspices of the Department of Justice.
Exactly.
So that there are built-in safeguards and accountability. But putting that aside for the time being, getting their masks off so that when someone like Pritzker goes on television and says, we're going to hold you to account, that each one of those officers understand that every time they go out and do any type of enforcement action, there's 10, 50, 5, I don't know how many people are videotaping them. And their faces and their actions are being recorded, and their identities are going to be known. Because they should have the fear that they're trying to inject into the citizenry and to just the population in general in this country, that we know who you are and we're going to come and get you. Because there's less of them. There's less of them, and they're doing worse things. And so, if their people are out of power, they cannot be protected. And so that is an important, every time an ICE guy does anything, it should be in the back of their head, I don't know if I'm going to get away with this, in a way that they think they're going to get away with it now.
And that is why it appears like, you know, the Stephen Miller playbook of backing them up and having them escalate is
I don't even like this
what
charm.
he centers on,
It's not
what
good.
their modus operandi is because they
It's only
want
good for
them to
making
continue to be masked, and they
Satan.
want them to continue to use a show of force to say we are above this kind of thing. They are banking on the weakness of the National Democratic leadership in that way, and they're fleeing them out of state after they murder people.
Yep.
They are. This is the second time they've done that.
Just like
They
the
have,
Catholic Church.
the press was able to identify that there were 5 guys just beating up on Preddy, and what Bovino told KA hiding from police in the state as law enforcement.
So Chuck Schumer's plan, up until 72 hours ago, was to take the House bill and to essentially release 7 Democrats in the Senate to prevent a filibuster of that House bill, which is a minibus funding thing. You'll recall a couple of weeks ago, half of the government agencies, essentially, there was a bill that passed that would provide funding for them. There was a bill that came out of the House that included funding for DHS, amongst other spending priorities. And the idea is Chuck Schumer really wants to make sure that no one knows there's a Democratic Party, that any of these people exist or do anything until election time, where he's hoping people are just going to vote against Republicans. Assuming, which I think is quite an assumption, that there are going to be elections that are going to be recorded and take place in a way that will be completely normal.
I mean, Bondi is trying to get the voter rolls of Minneapolis and using that as leverage over the occupation. What do you think the agenda is when you're looking at these 20 states and they're targeting blue states specifically?
This is all about trying to find different levers in which to prevent the midterm elections from turning out to one where the Republicans lose the House and they lose the Senate. So this is Chuck Schumer's strategy. Jeffries largely following a similar strategy in the House by not whipping votes. Remember, it was 220 to 213 was the final tally. Was that what it was in the House? 220 to 213? And 7 of those votes came from
207.
207 to 220. Now, if those 7 votes go the other way, it's 214 to 213. The thing sinks. I don't know if you can control Jared Gold. I don't know, but there was no attempt to do so.
Maybe say something about it.
Yeah, exactly. And
let's grab the ice.
But Chuck Schumer thought he was going to squeak by and get this, and his plans have been ruined. And here is Ed Markey yesterday I'm sorry, Saturday, right after the killing, here's Ed Markey making it clear where he stood on this. Now, of course, I think he wasn't going to vote, but by coming out and doing this, it adds pressure, right? If all the senators, all the Democratic senators, if 43 of them, or I should say, if 35 of them vote against the funding, you still get the funding bill, and if none of them say a word, it doesn't create the same amount of pressure. But if the ones who are voting against it start coming out, they're putting the pressure on any of those senators who would otherwise vote for it. Here's Markey on Saturday afternoon.
And Markey is another good
I'm in
one.
Boston, where I just finished a press conference with Middlesex County DA Marion Ryan. And I want to make one
Okay, so
thing
this does
clear
earthquake
about
stuff, but
what
it
we
also does
witnessed
its own stuff.
in Minnesota today.
Interesting.
This is more than just excessive force.
Interesting.
It's excessive malice. It's murder. A man was shot while kneeling on the ground with his shirt pulled over his head and officers surrounding him. They continued to shoot and shoot as he lay motionless on the ground. ICE is a criminal organization, and those thugs have become as bad as the criminals they say they are supposed to be apprehended. They are murdering American citizens, terrorizing our communities, and calling anyone who dares to record them domestic terrorists. Not one more cent for DHS and ICE. We have the power to end this. I'm in Boston.
Okay, so understand, if you're, Catherine Cortez
This
Masto,
guy's kind of
or Jackie Rosen, and you say, like, we don't have really the power to stop this. Or Chuck Schumer says, we don't have the power to stop this. Well, that's not what Ed Markey says. And shortly after Markey came out, now I'm not saying this is what did it. We have that statement from Masto and... okay, I put that in the thing. They both came out Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening and said they're not going to vote for this funding for ICE. So that was basically the end there.
And then you had Angus King also come out, independent from Maine, and
We cut a
these,
little-
the
do
three
a
that we're
little work
mentioning
here, a little bit.
Angus King, and then Rosen, Cortez
Couple
Masto,
seconds.
among others, were the ones that voted for reopening the government last time. So they were the ones that were caved. They were the prime targets to usher this through, and the politics around it have changed.
And so the Schumer now is asking for Thune, who is the Senate majority leader, to pull DHS funding out of the minibus, as opposed to omnibus, bill for funding, so that they can, sort of like hold that out. Thune claims he won't do it. We shall see.
But it's a miscalculate. I think if Thune follows through on this might be a rare miscalculation for Republicans, because we saw what the last government shutdown did, the longest in history.
100%.
The Republican. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that was happening at the time. Of course, the Epstein
We
files.
need to make demands to get through
that
this,
vote
what
happened
Trump
as
is
soon as
doing,
the government
prove the government
reopened.
can do whatever.
So
Exactly.
It's hard to draw a causal connection
Dude,
to one thing.
Cheney
There's
did
no doubt
that.
that period, which involved
Cheney did that. They did whatever they wanted. They went to war with two countries
and
without
started
congressional
this
approval.
kind of almost
Obama should have
lame duck
walked in and been
period
like,
for
all right,
Donald
we're
Trump.
closing Guantanamo,
Weekend was
we're
sending out
codifying Roe v.
multiple
Wade, we're codifying gay
paragraph-long
marriage.
truths
Go
about the
fuck your fucking
construction of the
selves.
White House ballroom,
But he
just to
didn't,
give
because he's
people
a
sense of
fucking
his
bitch
fingers on
who
the
works
pulse
for
of the
these
country
fucking
right
corporate
now.
fucks.
But
President AOC? President AOC is gonna get his shit
this
done.
have obviously changed, and the Democrats are being forced to respond.
And I will say this.
Oh no, I'm sorry.
President Hassan Piker?
I lost my train of thought on that
President
point.
fucking Jon
If
Stewart?
Thune keeps
See, Jon
insisting
Stewart,
that
I'd
we're gonna
still
vote
think would
and
like
not
cater
strip
to
out DHS funding
norms
from the
and
rest
traditions and blah blah blah.
The spending package, and
That's why
that
I'm not so
results
hype on
in
Jon
a
Stewart,
partial
but, like,
government
you know.
shutdown, as opposed to stripping it out and dealing with it on its own.
President fucking Graham
Why would that
Plattner?
not hurt the Republicans a second time? And then the central focus is going to be DHS and ICE and their abuses. And like Nate Cohn, we showed a little bit
gotta
of this
get him in the
graph
Senate first, but
on Friday. The New York Times' analysis of Trump's coalition, but G. Elliott Morris, which is Strength in Numbers, is a really good Substack to follow polling information on. I really like his analysis. He was basically saying like Cohn's takeaway from Trump's coalition kind of falling apart here, and you having this reversal with non-white voters, with younger voters as well. He describes it as a de-alignment versus a realignment, meaning that the coalition of people that voted for Trump were largely like anti-establishment, angry people about the state of the economy, naturally, and then you had like the
I'm a little worried about Stewart, but I think someone like him could be pushed.
Who voted and they were trying to punish the party for the economic situation
whereas,
that they
like,
were in,
and
then
maybe
you have a lot
even
of people stay home, for
Buttigieg
Gaza.
and
So it's been very
Newsom
brittle
could be
in and of
pushed.
itself. But that it would be a mistake just to focus
But it would be a
on
lot
the
of left
economics
bashing, and it would be a fucking
When you
struggle.
look at where Trump is
Whereas I
falling
think Stewart,
on immigration, it's
Stewart
identical
would be
his numbers,
a
minus
little
17
easier
on
to
immigration
push.
and on the economy.
AOC
So,
also would
like,
need to be
there's
pushed,
going to be
but
this
you know,
impulse
any
that you'll see
politician
from
needs to be
Democrats
pushed.
to
Zora
avoid
needs
the
to
issue of his authoritarianism and
They all
ICE
need to be
and
pushed.
just
They're
focus
just
on
politicians.
the economy.
Not saying
Now they're
this.
almost being forced to talk about immigration if DHS funding is
But
the
yeah,
central focus
what
of
Dieter
a shutdown
says,
or of a spending
the
debate. I mean,
DNC
the Republicans are a
head
little bit
needs to
screwed
change.
on this subject.
Ken Martin
regardless.
needs to be fucking
And
swapped
the
out.
thing, you know, the
Yeah, we have the chance. Exactly, we
the
have a chance
fact
to
is
change his
that,
mind.
like, you know, you can talk about sort of these kitchen table issues, but people feel that already.
Yep.
Yeah, see,
And
how am I
unless
gonna
you're
beat the
offering any
boss
type of like
if
structural change,
just
which they're
circling?
not.
It's
Let's be clear, right?
self-evident,
They're,
yeah.
they were not like they're not. Now, if they were, if there was a proactive,
This boss you have to
programmatic,
hit from the
like
back.
we're going to do X, Y, and Z.
may
But
have to
to
jump in this
remind people that they are
All
materially
right, Rooney just
suffering,
pooped, so give me
they
1
already know
second to
this.
clean up his
And
poop.
we know they know this because the last time they
Oh, Rooney.
pretended that people weren't, they lost in the
Can't go
election
outside.
with Harris.
There's a quality the
So-
way Josh Shapiro says like affordability that says they're as if they're telling us something. They're telling their donors that actually people really are screwed out there, and we need to change our approach.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, you shouldn't ignore the deprivation, but to think that that's the only thing that you're going to bring to it, remind people that they're not feeling, they know they're not feeling it. That's pretty, it's baked into the cake. But the idea here is saying that, like, you know, we played clips of Chuck Schumer the other day up in, I can't remember what part of New York State it was, with Micron, rolling out something from the CHIPS Act. Syracuse. And Howard Lutnick was there taking all the credit. And apparently, this is very funny, following Chuck Schumer's, like, interrupting a reporter's question about the fact that Lutnick, the Trump administration, have rolled back some of the stuff from the CHIPS Act. All the Republicans voted against the CHIPS Act. Now they're taking credit for what the CHIPS Act's doing. Schumer interrupts that question and says, we're not going to talk about different sides
It's
and
a time
whatnot.
for
We're doing
bipartisanship.
time for bipartisanship. We're going to do this together. Lutnick and the administration made a video of that entire Micron opening to promote it.
Yeah.
And guess who is not
And he
in
never does
the
it
video?
on the pad, always
Chuck
on the
Schumer,
floor.
like,
He
it's
pees
like,
on the pad.
it's like, honestly,
fucking annoying.
The video wasn't bipartisan.
I'm just trying to, like, I can't even come up with an analogy of someone who has been doing this for so long, who's so blind to what is going on here. There is a very good argument that you should say to John Thune, yeah, don't strip DHS out of this, because guess what? We're not funding anything. Like, the idea of pretending that this is a government that is operating by
exactly.
rule
It's the mob.
and laws is out the window.
None of
Even
these
funding-
agencies are real.
Even funding,
right now.
they're not operating lawfully with the with rescissions. I mean, you could make that argument as well if you chose to make an argument. But
Every time they engage in these processes, they are extending a legitimacy to this regime that is not warranted, and
they shouldn't have
undersells
funded it
the danger
right
that
after
we're in
Trump
at this
won.
point. I mean,
Again.
we haven't even seen
He's an
all of this
insurrectionist. We're not
come
funding
online
anything.
yet. For ICE, they haven't even been able to figure
that's
out
it.
what they're going to do with it. I mean, they're just coming up with, like, new types of, like, supposed non-lethal weapons to roll out.
QR codes for Bovino.
oh my god, 4 QR codes. I just, it's just amazing how incompetent they are about this too, because which part of the party has been screaming from the rooftops that kitchen table issues and income inequality is the real problem, is a really, really major problem, and that the Democrats need to take it seriously?
Yes,
Oh wait, it's been the Bernie Sanders wing of the party since 2016 on, and the squad and all of that we're talking about income and wealth inequality and people's material conditions not being met.
They must
They get
be
the
replaced.
tested results about how
We're gonna do the
Kamala
great
Harris
replacement
in large
of the
part
Democrats
did one thing, it's the
with progressives. That's what
economy
we're
not
doing. That's the
well,
great
and that's why
replacement
that election was
theory.
lost. Of course, there's Gaza. Of course, there's other issues, gender, race, etc., whatever. But it's the economy, and they go, okay, even though we were the ones that were attacking the left on like really hollow identity politics grounds, in fact doing a disservice to the work of anti-racists and people who are trying to make a change in the society by
Damaging those efforts irrevocably.
by using it as a cudgel to hit your opponent with in a cynical way to obscure the fact that you're not really that this campaign is trying to tamp down like a populist uprising within the Democratic Party. Now they're like, we are only going to talk about the economy and kitchen table issues, but we're not going to say what we're going to do about it. Bernie was saying we got to tax billionaires, Medicare for all. We'll just talk about affordability,
We're
and
gonna great
apparently
replace
we'll
the
just
Democrats
abandon
with progressives.
the issues
That's what we're gonna do.
Racial and racial
No
struggle
more
and
neoliberals.
civil rights movements that are
No
happening
more corporate
around
fucking
the country right now.
sponsored
they,
politicians.
Like, go in the exact opposite direction instead of how about we merge these two things and talk about them as they are, inextricably linked. Income inequality, capitalism, and also white supremacy and racism. They're coming together, and Minnesotans understand that. That's what the general strike was about. It was
the real great
multiracial
replacement was the friends we made,
coalition
the
of
comrades we
citizens
made along
that
the
were
way.
trying to stand up to authoritarianism. And the party's like, let's just focus on class now. Or not even class. Let's just focus on the economy.
Affordability.
Well, yeah,
Affordability.
focus. That's the thing. They're not focusing on class.
I know.
Nothing. It's all
I
just this sort of like general sort of notion of like things seem to be bad. We just want to remind you of that. But let's look at like what this is the tale of sort of like two different retreats here. Put up this tear sheet, number 29. Minnesota Star Tribune, Chris Maddow.
So I think
I don't know much about this guy.
when they're
run. This is
circling
number
me,
29.
when they hit, they'll
He
go
was,
back to the back and then
running for
get
governor
reloaded, is my guess.
in the Republican primary in
What's
Minnesota. And now, I think this guy realizes, like, I don't want to waste my time because it doesn't end money because it doesn't matter if I win here. But he quits the Republican
eventually
race.
they just
Scroll
get
up a little
sucked
bit.
back in, I see.
He announces that he's quitting the race today, saying he cannot support the National Republican stated retribution on the citizens of our state, nor can I count myself a member of a party that would do so. He's basically saying, I got to leave the party because things are getting so bad of what's going on. Now, he is a Minneapolis attorney who said, I originally stated the goal, he had originally supported the stated goals of U.S.
And it's tough because you
immigration
can
and
only
customs
hit his
enforcement
crown.
in Minnesota.
So now I'm
including
like,
the deportation of
well,
undocumented
all the
immigrants
balls
with
are
serious
circling
criminal
me.
records,
I gotta wait for
including,
them to reload for me to
what was
even
it?
be able to
That
hit
was
him.
what the whole claim was from the beginning.
And then I gotta angle.
And incidentally, that's exactly what Obama did and Biden did.
Shots.
So we should tell you that, like, this is no
doing some
magic
damage.
panacea to deal with your immigration problem. It didn't work. But it's expanded far beyond its
at least
stated
it's
focus on
going
true public safety threats. Okay, yeah, exactly. Now, I can understand it. I can understand it. If you are a Republican running in a Republican race, how you don't see these things until it's super explicit. But if you are a Democrat and you voted on Thursday of last week to fund this agency, and then within 4 days you have to
Yep, here it is.
send a letter from to your constituents.
Tom Swazi, representing
Tom fucking
Bishop on
Swazi.
Long Island, New York, one of
New
the
York,
7 House
Laura
Democrats
Gillen,
who
also
voted
from New
for
York.
the
Fuck her.
escrow
Primary that
increase,
bitch.
funding for them.
But he's
Primary
not
this
just one of the
bitch,
7
too.
who voted for that bill. He has been brought
Tom
out
fucking Swazi.
and promoted by the Democratic Party
Oh, yeah.
as being the visionary for the future. The template for what Democrats should look like across the country. This is a guy who's like, I've got to, I'm in a purple district.
Fucking close.
I got conservative. I've got a
cop district.
I've got to, law enforcement, blah, blah, blah. I've got to see, the reason why you other Democrats don't understand what's going on is because you're not connected to your constituency like I am.
Yeah.
You don't understand what's going on the ground. You're deluded. You're living in these blue,
enclaves with all the
enclaves
people.
on the hill and
Right.
without the people, and you don't understand what the real people are going through.
You're in a
blah,
blue
blah, blah.
state, by the way, buddy.
And this guy does not have the capacity to see that he had to do a 180-degree turn within 4 days of voting for it. Not just 4 days of being voted for it, being one of the deciding votes on this. Like, the most important, this isn't like, 400 other people were voting for it, so I voted for it, now I feel bad about it, I just went along to get along. No, you had to be so conscious of this vote to know that you were the difference. You were less than, almost like 1.5% of the that was in play to make this pass in the House. And then 4 days later, I failed to view the DHS funding vote as a referendum on the illegal and immoral conduct of ICE in Minneapolis.
Well, to be fair, but was Renee Good killed after this vote? Oh, wait! No! It was before this! So who could have seen a day, 48 hours after, I'm gotta stop yelling, that they kill somebody else on camera?
I hear the anger from many of my constituents, and I take responsibility for that. Like, how silent were those constituents in those 4 days?
You know what? But you know what this is, though? This isn't even like this is. This is Jeffries' fault just as much as Swazi. You know why? Because they didn't pick these Democrats out of nowhere. Yeah. They didn't pick these Democrats out of nowhere. This is what they do all the time. They offer. Are you in a purple district? Are you in a frontline district? Let's data focus this test.
They said there was
based on
6 new
past
balls.
available data instead of
Or 8
having a
new
unified
balls.
front
I
and
only
leading
seen
with a
1.
message about ICE. They
So maybe
picked
it's just
7
the
districts.
stone
They
ball
didn't want
plus the
to
evolutions?
whip votes against them, and they were like, okay, like we can live with this because this is going to pass anyway.
I know,
but now they're facing the immediate blowback because someone was describing it in our IMs and I lost it, but it was a really well said thing. Oh, here it is. Lord and then Neekin, the 7 Dems who voted for the funding gladly took the rotating villain role, but the carousel has stopped and now they're panicking. That's what it feels like.
And he writes, the senseless and tragic murder of Alex Preddy underscores what happens when untrained federal agents operate without accountability.
No, they're trained.
Where's the accountability?
They're 10, 20-year
Jonathan
veterans
Ross?
of ICE.
Where was Swazi
This is what ICE is supposed
in the
to do.
past couple of weeks when Bovina was out there saying, we're not allowing an investigation, where the person who started, the FBI agent who tried to investigate that shooting, has to leave the FBI. Where is he when the number 2 at the Department of Justice is going like, we are investigating. We're investigating Renee Good. Where was he during this? How blinkered is he? He's not paying attention to the news? Or is he's saying like, well, I hadn't heard from my constituents. I mean, my point being that they sell
when I'm done
us,
streaming, I'm gonna go make some fucking
these guys
breakfast, lunch.
sell us their votes based upon some notion of competence. You people are unserious. You do not understand what is out there. You get this from Iglesias, you get it from all these types.
Yeah.
You don't get what's out there. You don't understand the desire for law enforcement that's out there. We've got to be tough, blah, blah, blah. This is not a law enforcement vote because these people are not law enforcement. Their funding does not come through law enforcement in this country, which is the Department of Justice. They are some type of like hybrid of national security, secret militia.
Clan.
And so the failure for them to understand this rises up to Chuck Schumer, through Jeffries, all of them. Or the failure for them to understand that people see this.
But how do you, the incompetence of not knowing what's coming after the Renee, like,
if you take
I was
where
waiting.
you've got 180 degrees it 4 days later,
dude,
You don't know what you're doing.
Medell, that Chris, the guy, I was waiting to see if the Minnesota Star Tribune pointed this out. 2 weeks ago, he was offering legal help to the ICE to Ross, who killed Renee Good. 2 weeks ago.
And this dude's a Republican. I mean, he's a Republican. So, like...
There it is. January 7th. It's been less than a month and he was already offering legal counsel for Jonathan Ross. And the Republicans like, I don't know if I can be in this party anymore.
A mother shot in the face with stuffed animals in the glove compartment. He was, and Bill Ackman did the same thing. Bill Ackman this weekend being like, well, we got to wait for all the facts. Bill Ackman, less than 24 hours after Renee Good was shot in the face, donated $10K to Ross's GoFundMe.
And I'm just still wondering, what my Senate
Get Bill Ackman out of my fucking city.
What is, I don't know why I'm talking like that. I'm just pissed. What it gives them the confidence. I think I'm a lawmaker now.
Bernie.
What
Is Emma hanging out with senators? What's going on?
Look, I caught it immediately. What gives them the confidence that Schumer is going to be able to lead these negotiations as minority leader? In a way that benefits them? Like, what evidence is there that he can continue in this manner? There has to be some sort of change. It's unbelievable.
If you have leadership that cannot see 7 days out, like, I mean, this is what we were saying on Friday. Those Democrats who voted for ICE, they don't own ICE up to that point. They own ICE over the next 11 months. I mean, obviously more than that. But the point being, what is the value of leadership that can't even see 4 days out?
It's
money. It's
Schumer and Jeffries.
That's why we have the leaders we do in the House and the Senate. Because,
need to be replaced.
United, we need money men instead of people who know politics.
Like, I mean, think of the iceberg. I mean, they are driving us into. It is. I mean, both. Never mind, as a political matter, you know, electoral politics, but this is real. What ICE is doing is real. They had a choice after Renee Good. We need to pull back, guys, or we need to double down, guys, because we got to push this to the Insurrectionist Act. I mean, this is not like you got National Guard activated by Waltz out there, who's handing out coffee to protesters, but they're wearing yellow vests over their fatigues. They're doing that because they want to make it clear they're on a different team than those other guys with fatigues and weapons.
Order the National Guard to arrest ICE.
I mean, you see where they're starting to go.
Order the police
right?
to arrest ICE.
We got to make sure our uniforms are differentiated from their uniforms. Why is that?
Or just hand coffee to your citizens and then throw your citizens as cannon fucking fodder.
We've got to fund their training more.
It's like
the guy that killed Renee Good was a multi-year.
But
so was this guy.
But what training?
Excuse me?
Let's assume. I mean, I'm obviously.
I want this.
But I think.
But I also have a plan.
The training thing
so
needs
let's
to
stick
be
to my
sort of
plan.
Okay, they all get better trained, but the problem is, you have too much money, too many resources, too many agents for the job they're being assigned, if we're to believe that's what their job is. I mean, the supposed hardened criminals who are
or
not
at least,
within our
you know,
legal system
not the
that
worst
they're coming
guy.
out for,
People
we saw
who you can go
Joe Biden
and like
deport millions
ask help
of
from,
people.
and still they might not be
Barack
able to help
Obama
you
deport millions of
because
people.
they don't have orders to do that.
ICE ran out
Because
of
Governor
targets
Waltz is being a
on
bitch.
day one, if we were to believe what their agenda was.
But at least you know
We're
that's not
gonna play
ICE.
a clip from one of the camps in Texas at one point, built by Obama.
Let's
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Just set this up. This is an attorney who
Yeah.
has been representing clients in one of these concentration camps in Texas.
Dilley, Texas, south of San Antonio. This particular camp was built in 2014 under the Obama administration. Then Biden shut it
Obama
down
needs to
at
fucking
in
answer for it.
2024, and then because it's
He
there
should
for
never get a
family
fucking
detention
moment's
in
rest.
particular, and the Trump administration obviously reopened it. So this is an immigration lawyer. These are 2 clips. He was going there to visit one of his clients. Let's play the first one before this. 20, yeah. So when he was there meeting with a client, he was kind of told he had to leave and chased out of the camp, the detention center, concentration camp, and he was recording screams from inside, and you'll hear what those screams are, but it's a libertad. I don't speak Spanish, but it let us go, and I think freedom or liberty, but you'll hear children, sorry? Libertad, thank you. These are children's screams.
I'm outside. I'm outside.
You're not
It doesn't
allowed.
say out here.
And I've just been ordered to leave the premises. I've just been ordered to leave the premises. She's yelling at me right now, so I'll head back to my car.
America, Etch. Unfortunately, we're in
All right,
America.
let's go to the second video here. So this is the facility, by the way, that Liam,
Yep.
the boy in the blue hat that was photographed.
But it's also not
sorry, I
new.
have his
It
name
happens
here.
every day at every prison.
Liam, I'm sorry, I forget his last name.
Abuse, evil.
But this is where Liam Ramos and his father are being held, and so
That's the
I think
important
it seems
part.
like the
It's
other
not new.
folks being held
This
in
is what
this
we've been
camp
doing.
got word
The
that this was
Gestapo
like
in
kind of
Germany,
a bit of a
that was
national
inspired
outrage,
by
and they were
our
staging a
cops.
protest in support of him.
IDF
trying to
inspired
get
by
the word
our
out
cops.
there.
And I think
It's
this
all
lawyer's
us.
also going to explain they had heard
Who's the
about what was
monster?
going on
America.
in the general strike in Minnesota. He
Yep.
wasn't sure how they found
Big
out
twist
about it
at the
because
end.
there's no internet there, but it was inspired.
The 1860s residency for this part.
I'm outside of the Dilley facility here in South Texas. There's a demonstration of detainees taking place inside right now. We were all asked to leave. There's a drone flying up ahead right now. It's an extremely bizarre situation. You can hear them shouting. Can you hear that? They're shouting,
Yeah,
let us
exactly.
out, let us out. There's people in
We
blue
are,
shirts.
unfortunately, the
Again,
baddies.
there's drones flying up ahead. There appear to be hundreds of people through the crack that I can see. And again, I was here for an attorney visit and they asked me to leave abruptly without telling me why, ordering people who were waiting to stand outside in the cold. And I'll try and keep you updated as to what is happening.
I think
trying to
even,
get the
there was
bomb to
another
3
video that
so
he
I
put
can
out
fuse the
that
bomb in the
expressed that there
balls.
were vehicles rushing there. I mean, that it was some type of protest, and they were going to try and put it down in the prison.
I wonder what
or
the methods they use to do that.
I don't know. I mean, prison. It's really a concentration camp. I mean, these people are not criminals. I mean, these are increasingly going to become an issue, and we need to. Attention needs to be drawn to these places. It's going to be hard, the same way that it's hard to sort of like publicize abuse that is happening within the context of prisons, because it's tough to get any information out of these places.
Yeah, we are unsure of how many people have died in these camps. I just, like, there have been at least 5 this year so far of people that have died in ICE detention that we know of. Last year was the deadliest year, and given the reports that we're hearing about the maggot-filled food, the inadequate food, no food for children that they can digest, And the thing that I just keep returning to is that report from Popular Info that they just haven't paid any medical bills for the tens of thousands of people that are detained since October. So what does that mean? It means that their health is rapidly deteriorating, and that's part of the goal. Because they're trying to get people, as Sam said, to, well, one, I think the cruelty, and if they die, they're okay with it regardless. But the way that that they're being instructed to operate is to essentially torture people into voluntarily agreeing to being deported. And we saw also with CCOT what the model is for them. I mean, Stephen Miller would love nothing more than the torture dungeons that we saw at CCOT, where men were sexually abused, where they were their heads were shaved, where the lights were blaring all day, and they were sleeping on top of one another, drinking from the toilet. I mean, this is like what gets these guys off.
Let's play this clip of Greg Bovino in his press conference on Saturday afternoon, showing him incapable of answering to what people had already known. This is clip number 9, and then we'll follow it up with this tear sheet right here, because there are internal fractures within the Trump regime. And now, of course, if Trump were to pass away, I think we would see them come out more. In one camp,
I can't wait.
Is Lewandowski and Kristi Noem rumored to be romantically involved.
I mean, rumored. They are. Her husband just lives in South Dakota, and they basically live together. So.
Listen, people have different arrangements, and that's fine.
That's fine. But Lewandowski has not been appointed by Congress, and he's the reporting is that he's essentially running the day-to-day operations, and that he has like an office.
I've seen also stories that there is a conflict within CPB. Remember, Homan was ICE, or sort of the czar.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. Bovino came from Customs Border Patrol, CBP. And there were rumors that there's stories that there is an attempt by Kristi Noem and Lewandowski to get rid of like the next guy under Bovino at Customs Border Patrol and replace him with another guy. Look, they're all scumbags, as far as I'm concerned. And you shouldn't make too much of this. But internal strife, helpful. Maybe marginally so, but anything at this point is helpful. But here is Bovino. This was his response, and I wonder if this made Trump a little bit nervous that things weren't going well.
Again, this situation's evolving. This is under investigation. Those facts will come to light. But let's take a look at the gun. You can see the gun here on the screen there that individual possessed. It appears to be a semi-automatic, high-capacity type, possibly a 6-hour 9mm.
All right, no more questions. Sorry, no more questions.
So he is asked, we've seen the video. He doesn't appear to have come or drawn the gun at any time during the video. In fact, you can't really see that he has a gun on the video. What of that? Well, I don't know. We need to investigate that. However, what we have been able to determine, this is definitely his gun, and he definitely possessed it at one point.
Yeah, they're also emphasizing semi-automatic. I saw some gun expert pointing out that it's just meant to indicate that it's not a revolver, and it's basically a handgun.
It's so funny to hear them try and make a gun suddenly scary as opposed to
right.
But
that's what liberals do.
Right.
Nevertheless, 3 days later, today, Donald Trump seems to be a little bit concerned, or somebody who writes his tweets, who knows what, his truth things, whatever.
Uses the word wave.
Whatever the top regime mouthpiece, how we want to refer to him.
I'm gonna guess this is Susie Wiles and not Stephen Miller on the Truth Social this time.
But who gets control of the Truth Social feed? Is like basically like a scorecard,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
and
it's a weather vane.
so here is supposedly Donald Trump.
Excuse me.
Governor Tim Walz called me with a request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call. We actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him.
Give me that.
Huh. Now, Homan has been sort of like under wraps since the whole $50,000 bag of money resurfaced.
When we had Ryan Grimm on the Jacobin show, he pointed out that Holman was the only sort of administration figure after the return of Renee Good to say we need to wait for the investigation.
Yeah. And so
like, can you have Holman write instead of call?
Huh?
That would have been like, can you have him write?
Oh shit! You got a follow. Thank you very much, Corvo.
We are looking for any
For the follow, I appreciate it. Hi. I didn't see you there. What's up? Welcome in. Playing some ball pit.
The governor,
very excited about the new update.
Understood that.
New characters,
And I
new
will be
balls,
speaking
new
to him in the near
evolutions.
future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We have had such tremendous success in Washington, D.C.,
They got caught in
Memphis,
Minneapolis?
Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay.
I am. Yes.
Virtually every
You
other
wanted that
place
list
that
to
we
feel
have
longer.
touched.
But anyone is welcome.
All the
It's all
places that
good.
we have touched. Interesting choice of words. And even in Minnesota, crime is way down. I would imagine, because everybody's afraid to
I
be
am
on the
left.
streets.
From what I've read, there's been 3 murders in Minneapolis this year, and 2 of them
Committed by ICE.
I'm
But
way
both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. President Donald J. Trump.
Hence the hat.
So
Max left hat.
bringing Homan in.
The moderate.
Yes.
Trump and Homan are the moderate flank of MAGA right now.
The point is
Okay,
that
so
any
what's
type of
this now?
dissension there is good, because
Brand new ball.
At one
What do
point,
we got? Rockets.
it seems inevitable
fireworks.
to me.
Explosive
There is going to be
fleet of 6
more
fireworks. Fireworks
serious
target random
conflicts,
enemies.
conflicts
spraying
that are
units.
going to be brought,
Cool. I like it.
that are foreshadowed by the National Guard wearing
Look at that.
reflective bibs, so they can be differentiated from ICE militia. And the idea that there could be any type of fracture within these ICE DHS forces is good, because if certain orders have to be given at certain times, who knows what, and there's one faction who says, like, we should not do it this way, and another faction says we should do it that way, that's good. It's not as good as we shouldn't be doing any of this, but that's not happening.
We'll report on this more over the course of the week, but I'm seeing some things about another shutdown on the 30th.
In Minnesota.
Yeah.
Let's play this. I'm curious about this. Broadly speaking, I am not a fan of this. What is the name of the Pivot podcast? And it's Scott Galloway. He is a professor, I think, at NYU, and Kara Swisher, who brought us years and years of hagiography of Elon Musk. She has since apologized, and she realized she made a mistake, blah, 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 blah. Galloway,
Gets paid
another highly paid person who makes
really
mistakes.
highly paid by Vox for podcasting millions and millions of dollars.
but still, she apologized.
Look, have some grace.
Exactly.
Who do I support, the CIS or the Republic?
Just because,
She made a mistake.
Just
She
because
made
you
a
say
mistake.
you have crypto in people's retirement.
She built.
You need a road to redemption.
She built
Well,
a ladder.
in the state the Republic
and,
is in right now,
remains
the
where that ladder
CIS.
took her, but just knows
But,
she
you
has
know,
disdain for the
The
ladder.
my
So that's
loyalty
the
is to
important-
That feels
Republic,
nice.
to
Anyways.
democracy.
Galloway is
Not
an
to
interesting
any
figure
one
because not hard
figurehead.
to find him talking about stuff that I think many of us would agree with.
My loyalty is the robots.
He is,
At least they
very much a sort of like I don't know if he would identify as a neoliberal, and I don't know
willfully
that he is.
cruel.
But he's certainly like very much looking for ways to maintain the sort of like structural
Clanker
dynamic
supremacy, let's
that we
go.
have. Now he does believe that there needs to be a like serious, almost confiscatory taxation. I've heard him talk about this as well. So there's interesting stories, and what's interesting here is
loyal to the ideals. Not
he
the
is
people
talking
who
about
invent them.
people withholding their role within society as a way of shutting things down, and he certainly understands the sort of the moment that we're in. And it's sort of interesting to me in that his role for labor here, he sort of begrudgingly acknowledges it. But I know this will be a little bit like this is a nuanced argument in terms of response. But I want to say, like broadly speaking, happy to have any type of call for people's action and an awareness that this is not a time where we're going to be saved by politicians. Politicians are our tools, and they are one of the tools that we need to use. But we are the ones who need to be exercising it, and it has to be broader than the couple arrows that politicians represent in our quiver. But here is Gal.
Something I'm spending a lot of time thinking about and trying to get some politicians on board with,
I was
and some
surprised
public
about who
figures
this
to
is.
follow.
I thought he was a
If you
politician.
want to understand real power and the difference between being right and being effective, stop watching protests and start watching gross domestic product, specifically GDP. Trump does not respond to outrage. He responds to markets. And that's not cynicism. It's mechanics. I'm not talking about a labor strike. This isn't unions, picket lines, or collective bargaining. I'm talking about something quieter, far more unsettling to the system,
NYU professor.
and that is an economic strike. A short-term coordinated withdrawal from spending and maybe work.
Well, they did that. They did that. They had a day. The business is closed for.
It can't
This
be a
is
day.
the
A day is
Kara
annoyance.
Swisher
It needs to be a week or a month, and it needs to be
Elon's
national.
stenographer.
The U.S. economy is $27 trillion. That's $74 billion a day. And here's our power, Tara. Our economy is 70% consumer-driven. Consumers actually have more power, not in signs or in guns or even in their vote right now. They have it in the power of the purse. A very small change in behavior could have an enormous effect. It's not cinematic. It's not romantic. It's not going to be written up in great history novels. But if you could figure out a way to basically kick a small number of companies related to the tech economy that account for 40% of the S&P right now and who are the people he cares about, if you canceled all of your streaming media platforms, if you canceled OpenAI and Anthropic, and you said, I am not upgrading my Apple phone, and there was a real movement that registered, and they had to disclose it in their earnings calls, this shit would come to an end pronto.
So this is interesting, and like I almost like wanted to play this just to look at the look on Matt's face.
Yeah.
I mean, here's part of the problem. Okay, if you found a way, the part of the problem is that as consumers, relying on citizens, residents, people as consumers is problematic in the regard that A, they are not organized around anything. They have no relationship to each other. You can bump up to your friend and go like, oh, you got an iPhone? I got an iPhone. It's very difficult to have solidarity across
No, but you know what else?
Shared consumer.
It's a shame
fates.
Star Wars sequels killed it. Yeah.
Also, incidentally, because we also know
Sequels
that
were
50%
whack.
of the economy is a
Except
function of the top 10%
Andor,
of
season 1
the
and 2, and
population.
Rogue One.
So you
It's the
can
only
get
good shit that
everybody
Disney
to
did.
stop their streaming, their Netflix streaming based upon their just being Netflix subscribers. But I mean, if you can't get that to happen based upon even the use case of Netflix, what? They canceled, whatever show I'm going to quit my my Netflix. It's not going to happen that way. I mean, the idea of shutting everything down is a good one. And the idea of shutting everything down for an extended period of time is also a good one. But you're going to need an existing network, A, and B, it needs to be from power that is not a function contingent upon what product is or is not available. It has got to be shutting down the availability of the products. And the way you do that is by shutting down, by exercising what you are giving into the system.
By shutting down that building
it's
somehow
money
in
as a
some
consumer.
way.
But the other thing is in the actual production of things. There is all of those products that he's talking about will not make it to marketplace if the labor associated with them decide, I'm not doing this.
It's just, I mean, well, it's interesting he just disaggregates that from labor, because what I've been hearing, the general strike idea was what Sean Fain was talking about last year, coming up in 2028 on May 1st. So I find it, I mean, what Minnesota doing that with their general strike, I mean, it was very also community focused in the sense that it was what was happening to them. And there's another one coming up. I think it's a step in the right direction. But people already are so disempowered.
The prequels, originals,
as
and sequels are all supposed to be different
because,
from each other.
like,
Yeah.
they don't have the spending money. We're hitting records of credit card debt over and over again. People already
Two
are
of those
having
franchises were
a
made by
hard time
Lucas,
saying
and they
which subscription should
flow
which
together
subscription
well.
should they not? It's not really a time where people have
Sequels
the
do not.
empowerment to flex as consumers in the way that's being described there. Without labor and without it being on the production side, I'm not necessarily sure how disruptive it is.
Well, I think it can be disruptive, but the problem is you can't organize it.
Yeah.
Right, that's the thing is like it's a cart
Like,
before the
dealing
horse
with the
scenario.
politics
You
of
need
the
labor,
Republic.
whether it's
Yeah,
I think
that would have been
teachers,
very nice.
Flight attendants,
That would have been very
sanitation,
nice.
They organized labor to lead it. And
Instead,
then,
they were just
everyone
like,
can
we're
participate
skipping
with
to
their
the
own sort of
part
symbolic
where
things.
they have to be
There's a great
rebels
article
again.
here, Eric
And for
Blum,
whatever reason, the
with
Republic
Stephen
doesn't have an
Lerner and
army.
Jack Can boycotts help workers?
So
And
we
this goes
can't
into
fight
like the
these
table grapes boycott, which actually Peter
neo-Nazis, effectively.
Appear on screen, but Ken
So
boycotts help
stupid.
workers with Stephen Lerner. But you can't minimize the role of the organized political group that is supposed to lead.
Well, I think, this is the thing that I think is embedded in that. It may be the case that you could do more damage to Donald Trump by undermining 30% of the economy through consumer action. Although I would imagine you could undermine the economy much easier with broad-based labor action. But part of what happens after a consumer boycott is that you have no political power that remains.
Yeah.
We all just go back to our individuated consumer choices, and that's it. I mean, this is like in the fantasy world where you could say, like, you know, I'm sending out an email to everyone who has Fubo, and you're going to stop your streaming services tomorrow, or whatever it is. What happens after a labor movement or labor action is that you have more of a labor movement.
Exactly.
And I think the reason why you would attempt to have consumers first is because they just go back. There's no consumer unions. There's no consumer associations.
Yeah.
There's no
Should have been the opposite, the
political
Empire's
movement
remnant. Exactly.
The day after your boycott ends.
It should have been a struggle for them.
Because there's been
Not,
no
oh,
sort
we
of
already have a
like,
star base and we blew up
it
5
is-
planets all at once.
It is around
Making the Death
just
Star
like
feel paltry.
like a product. There is no
J.J. Abrams
organizational
fucking
structure.
sucks.
The idea that you're going to get thought leaders and politicians to agree on it. Thought leaders, I will tell you, they will all have their own debate as to what it should be. There's no opportunity for any type of like transaction or negotiation.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Yeah,
democracy.
that would have been more
associated
interesting.
the way they're talking about. It has to come from labor because there's no other entities.
There's the Pivot podcast with Scott Galloway and Karen Swisher.
Well, but look, I mean, listen, I think the idea of people organizing and striking back, and part of that, like, I have no problem with a massive strike that involves also on this day, not only are you going to picket, not only are you not going to go to work for Walmart or, Chrysler or whomever, but also we're all going to shut off our streaming. We're going to cancel that for the next week or 2 weeks. Like, I'm all in favor of that. That part may even have more short-term effect than the shutting down of, I don't know what, I mean, airlines would catch up with them, but it may be the case that, like, you can have an airline strike, and it's quite possible if you were to get
that would have been more interesting.
everyone to stop their Netflix streaming
If it was,
and to,
like,
I don't know, somehow
secret attacks
quit
done
their
by Imperial
ChatGPT,
remnants, and then there was a secret
membership
leader,
or
and it turns
whatever
out
it
to
is.
be Ben Solo.
might
That would have
more
been
impact,
interesting.
But the
Not
way that you're going to organize
they're
that
all
has got to be through
powerful right away
existing
again.
solidarity organizations, and it ain't going to happen through.
I don't know about that. I mean, maybe getting rid of the sequels.
Our iPhone on Reddit or whatever it is they were supposed to get.
At this point, Dave Filoni is in
Exactly,
charge,
yeah.
and he's just gonna.
Not updating my iPhone.
We'll make a cartoon series that makes this feel better when you watch the movie. Because that's all I know how to do.
Union fan, didn't Indivisible succeed with their Spotify boycott to kill ICE ads on the platform? Well, I'm not saying that consumer boycotts can't influence a specific company. They can. We've seen that. My understanding is also that the ICE ad budget, it ran out. Like it wasn't. They didn't boot them off. They just didn't re-up the.
Also, bringing back the Emperor literally killed.
But regardless, I'm not saying that consumer boycotts don't work.
Definitely.
I mean, if we all decide not to go
Again,
to
fucking dumb
we
shit.
could start a picket line out in front of the coffee shop down the street,
lazy
and then
writing.
nobody went in there for a couple days.
Yeah.
They're going to start offering whatever it is, mochachinos or whatever it is that we want that they're not going to get there. But if you're talking about a national thing, I don't think you can get what he's talking about to happen without the help of unions.
If it did happen, it would be written in history books because it would be remarkable.
Yeah.
That it would be quiet and nobody would talk about it. That's insane.
Well, more quiet than a general strike from labor, maybe, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's just like that's the thing is where does it go after that one day in that instance?
Well, I think that's part of the point.
Right. Well,
It's
just
not
like
just one day. Let's assume it's a week or 2 weeks. Where does it go after that? I think that's the point. We won't then have a type of like organized political entity that we don't necessarily have control over floating around out there. It's not unlike, when the Obama campaign had this Obama for America organization, and people wanted them to sort of like let it live outside of the administration. They were very specific. No, we're not going to allow that because we don't want to be fighting that, what we created.
We don't want to win Iowa again.
Exactly.
Well, and then Democrats, lost 1,000 seats from 2008 to 2010?
But I think what it did is it made it for the Obama administration. We're not going to have to deal with an organized group that used to be ours and now is maybe not necessarily in alignment with what we're doing at any given time.
Right, Rom, Emmanuel?
Jordy, PhD. You have to get someone on from our time, New NYC. Duber, on consumer strike for social media, how many people use Facebook? Hundreds of millions. How many people at work at Facebook? 70,000. What's easier to organize? Very good point. Well, one of the things that in that book Wrecked, which I have referenced, about how the car industry in this country, I can't remember the two professors. Do you remember, Matt? That book Wrecked? I talked about that all the time. And this was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. One of the fascinating things about what the U.S. car industry did,
give me 1 second.
they used to be, they used to not have big, what is it, on demand? What is the supply chain called?
Just-in-time production.
Just-in-time production. They used to have just-in-time production. In fact, the Japanese came over and witnessed that, and they were like, oh, wow, this is a very good way of building cars. And, but the problem with just-in-time production is, from the standpoint of a major car manufacturer, is that you've got some shop in Detroit, or whatever, 20 miles outside of Detroit. They're the ones who make the ball bearings. And there's 40 people who work there, but they make ball bearings for 4 different, GM factories, for example. 5 different GM factories. So now all of a sudden, if 25 people in that shop decide we're going to shut this down, they could shut you down and hold you hostage. It empowers labor too much. So what they did is they started dispersing all of these sort of secondary suppliers, buying from suppliers further away, so they had less solidarity with any type of union activity within Detroit, and they got away from just-in-time supplies. So they've got all of these, whatever it is, transmissions pre-built, in a warehouse. I mean, I'm just making up transmission pre-built. But the problem was the quality of the cars went down because once they rolled them off the line, they don't have the ability to make on-the-fly, essentially, adjustments to what they see as problematic because they've got this back
also lack of games is painful. Yeah, Warhammer gets better games than Star Wars. Absolutely.
Hubcaps or whatever.
I mean, we got Fate of the Old Republic coming, but
the dealer says,
I'm still just waiting on EA to cancel that.
It rattles.
I love Warhammer too, by the way. I'm very excited for Warhammer 40,000 Total War. Even though I don't know how to play Total War, I will figure it out.
But the
love
Japanese
Warhammer
got ahead of U.S. car manufacturers because they went to just-in-time supplies. But it's the same sort of dynamic there.
Make a Total War, Star Wars Clone Wars.
Find the choke points that are narrower. They are easier to control.
There is a game called
just everybody who owns an iPhone. You're going to need a lot of people.
I want to say Galactic Conquest, but it's not. It's something like that. That is like a strategy game for Star Wars where you can build
by 45%.
Multiple Death Stars and
if
stuff.
you buy it in the next 2 weeks.
It's old.
And
It's from the early 2000s.
I mean, what is a more durable political movement? And it's one that isn't you making individual choices.
The old school Battlefront games are fucking amazing.
That's why it's so great.
Well, that's you're picking out a bug, and I think from their perspective, that's sort of a feature.
I know. Well, I mean, but the encouraging sign is that that's more than a lot of what those guys would be saying in 2017, for example.
Yes.
I mean, there's a recognition that there needs to be a major disruption. But just, I mean, don't steer yourself down that road and think that it's going to make a massive difference.
All right, let's read 10 IMs.
It's almost 2:30.
I know it. Nina Norfolk. Minneapolis has flock. If ICE has plates now, the city should be able to follow them if they wanted to. Heather Cox Richardson said it well. The correct response to Dachau was not better training for the guards. Kowalski from Nebraska. Last summer, I recall the Lincoln Project putting out an advertisement stating that we're not going to close down Alligator Alcatraz because its final residents will be Don Jr., Miller, Christie, and Tom Pullman. If Democrats do not come together and state plainly
the
and clearly
fucking
that there will be
Lincoln
for these blatantly
Project.
unconstitutional acts of authoritarianism, then fractions within the Republican Party will get to capitalize on this, and the party will split in the United States will remain 50-50, leading to federal stagnation. Right now, Democratic leaders need to be going on the offensive. They need to seize the narrative and put this administration on their heels, make them defend indefensible positions on every front all the time, and press and press. Chuck Schumer wanted the masses of the people to hit the streets They are there now. Pick a champion and be the antithesis of Trump. Throw the weight of the party behind them and just start the brawl.
I mean, the idea that Alligator Alcatraz is defensible to house literally anybody. I mean, of course, it comes from a Lincoln Project former Republican that would make the case that, like,
They're not
we want to
former.
be cruel to these people. Then, I mean, yeah, we should be prosecuting Nome and Miller and all of them, but maybe not in a torture dungeon in the middle of Florida. That's
No, we don't need the whole alligator
4 hours
Alcatraz
ago
for
from
them.
Democracy Now!
They,
Marxist,
there's
Michael
plenty of
Pence
torture.
is
Put them in Rikers.
Didn't he die yesterday?
I ain't heard some stuff, but I think, yeah.
Saturn Girl quoting Gramsci, pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will. Protector of the frogs. Galloway does not like unions, and his men need need better is a bit sexist, but Galloway is pliable and can be a useful idiot. Woodchuck Schumer. ICE is no different than the black-bagging fingermen from V for Vendetta, state-sanctioned rapists, kidnappers, and executioners that send people to death camps. J.D. Pants. I thought Liz Cheney was the future of the Democratic Party.
no Eric Adams.
Corolla.
Yeah,
The
Eric
guy said
Adams.
it's been 9 days, no showers, beaten, etc. at the in Baltimore.
There we go.
At that facility. Illuminati kids. Yeah, but now see Schumer's Republican colleagues will see how partisan their administration is being and be embarrassed. Step 2, they give Schumer a coupon for another performative vote to make things right. Most Dems would vote for Solomon to cut the baby in half and then be like, I failed to understand the vote as a referendum on whether the baby should remain alive. Amateur pawn. Getting the shooters out of the state sure sounds a lot like accessory after the fact. Banana. QR codes? Hold on, Mr. Ice. I need to get real close and scan your QR code before you tackle and gun me down. Not to mention, like, to subdue Preddy, they were taking either a gun or the butt of a pepper spray thing and pounding him on the head. Meanwhile, the guy is, probably just freaking out because he's got that stuff in his eyes. They sprayed him right into his face. Josh from Colorado. Galloway was just covered on Decoding the Gurus, another overly heterodox but reasonably sober podcast.
Good show. I like Decoding the Gurus.
This is pretty significant. Rand Paul chairs the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee and is calling on the heads of ICE and CBP to testify.
I mean, any type of friction is good. I wouldn't, invest too much, but any type of friction is good.
Lately in the vertical stream.
Science is political. He'll trade it away for
folks,
we get the hemp stuff back, which I'm in favor of, the hemp stuff.
But libertarians feeling some kind of shame is like pretty shocking.
A little bit, and I'm just in terms of like.
All right, we're
like,
gonna
we have,
raid on Twitch.
What's his name? That fascist
On
from Arkansas,
YouTube,
Tom
I'm
Cotton,
posting the link for
what-
this
he has
space
national
because majority
security
reports
or
about
I
to
forget
end
which
right
Senate
now.
committee, like Rand Paul, if we were to pick a Senate
And on
Republican.
Twitch, we're going to raid.
on
I
this,
don't
at
think
least
this space is even
he
on
has
Twitch
some
yet.
scruples about
Well, any dissension or any friction is helpful here, and the fact that he sees a crevice or an opening is indicative of there being cracks. It does not mean that they're necessarily significant, but the point is we got to exploit everything right now.
No.
This is a what do you call it? I don't know. There's a saying, but I can't think of it. Joe Capilled. Me and Governor Waltz been vibing. I told him to talk to my designated fat guy.
All right,
Chipster
thank you
and
guys so
Worcester.
much for watching. Thank you,
Made
Corvo,
it.
for
Why
the follow.
I took on the right.
Really appreciate you. We'll be back. I don't know, maybe tomorrow, maybe sometime later this week. Also, check me out on
Jake
this
the
space.
teacher. Is anyone calling for your
TV,
analysis
link in
of
the
ICE agents
description.
that shoot
And
citizens?
thank you very much for watching, folks.